Jesus!
Pastor Jeremiah Okezi was known everywhere as Papa Fire, a man whose ministry pulled thousands. His crusades shook the city. People traveled from villages just to touch him. Women called him God's shadow on earth, and men respected him as a prophet with eyes that see beyond. But behind the glory, behind the miracles, behind the mighty church building, there was a secret room in his mansion. A room only one person could open. Inside the room lived a giant python, over 16 feet long, dark like burnt charcoal, with red eyes that glowed like burning coal. Pastor Jeremiah called it Mighty One. To the world, he was a spiritual father, but to the python, he was a servant. The first child he sacrificed was Charles, a little 7-year-old boy with big bright eyes. Pastor Jeremiah bought him biscuits, clothes, and toys. The boy followed him happily, trusting him because he is our pastor. But when they got to the house, Pastor Jeremiah opened the secret door. Warm, strange air came out. And before Charles could understand anything, the pastor pushed him inside. The python struck. One loud cry, then silence. That night, the pastor renewed his power, and the next crusade broke attendance records. Months later, a sweet 9-year-old girl named Favour became the target. She loved singing in the children's choir. She called Pastor Jeremiah Uncle Pastor. He bought her pink shoes and a new Bible. She followed him home, smiling. Her slippers were later found behind the church, but no one asked questions. No one suspected their beloved pastor. Then came Daniel, an 8-year-old boy who loved drumming. Pastor Jeremiah promised him a surprise. The boy followed him, excited. That evening, neighbors heard a muffled cry from the pastor's compound, but the pastor said it was the sound of prayer warfare. In reality, Daniel had become another sacrifice. The python had grown bigger and stronger. Now came the day of the Grand City Crusade, the biggest program in the history of his ministry. To prepare, Pastor Jeremiah needed to renew his power again. He spotted a boy named Nelson, 10 years old, bright, innocent, always reading the Bible. Nelson admired the pastor greatly. Pastor Jeremiah bought him gifts, new sandals, a white shirt, and chocolates. He said, "Come with me. I want you to help me prepare for the crusade." Nelson agreed. He trusted him deeply. After all, he is our pastor. They reached the house. Pastor Jeremiah opened the forbidden door. The python hissed. Its red eyes glowed. Its tongue flicked like fire. Nelson froze. Fear gripped his small heart. Pastor Jeremiah pushed him inside quickly. Nelson did not remain silent. He screamed,
Jesus!
And then he began to pray with everything inside him. "No weapon formed against me shall prosper." Isaiah 54:17. When the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard. Isaiah 59:19. The Lord is my light and salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Psalm 23:4. Each verse caused the python to stagger backward. The room shook. The walls vibrated. Nelson shouted again, "Let God arise and let his enemies be scattered." Psalm 68:1. Suddenly, a blast of heavenly fire descended. The entire house erupted in flames. The secret room broke open. The python screamed like a human being. Pastor Jeremiah ran out, burning, shaking, terrified. The crusade crowd gathered outside, screamed in confusion. Then the unthinkable happened. The python burst out of the house, burning, rolling on the ground. Nelson came out, still praying loudly. His shirt was white, untouched. His eyes glowed with courage. People shouted, "Jesus, Jesus, Jesus." The burning python fell at the center of the crusade ground and died there. Pastor Jeremiah fell to his knees, shaking uncontrollably. Then he began to confess, "Forgive me. I used Charles. I used Favour. I used Daniel. The python demanded children. I sacrificed them. I am finished. I am finished." People cried. Women collapsed. Men shouted, "Jesus, have mercy." Pastor Jeremiah suddenly tore his clothes, screaming, running mad. He ran out of the church compound shouting, "The mighty one has fallen." Members ran in fear. Others knelt crying. Some fainted from shock. Nelson's parents rushed forward, grabbed their son, and held him tightly, weeping. Nelson kept whispering, "Jesus saved me. Jesus saved me." The church never opened again. Authorities later discovered bones and children's belongings in the burnt secret room. The city mourned for months. Not every man of God is from God. Test the spirits. Blind trust can destroy. Be vigilant with your children. There is power in the name of Jesus. Evil may hide, but it cannot hide forever. When God rises, darkness collapses.